Hello everyone. Today we'll be looking at questions and answers for tooth morphology. This is the second part. In the first part we had already discussed 7 questions. So in this session we'll be looking at 7 more questions. So let's start with question number 8. And question number 8 is, what tooth tissue covers the crown of the tooth? So the crown of the tooth is covered by which structure or which tissue? So the tooth tissue that covers the outer surface of the crown is known as the enamel. So enamel is a tissue that covers the crown of the tooth. Now in this picture we can actually see that this part of the crown is covered by enamel. So the next question is what tooth tissue covers the root of the tooth? So the root of the tooth is actually covered by cementum, and cementum is the part that covers the root dentine, and it extends from the cervicoenamel junction up till the apex. So all this structure which is being outlined right now is covered by cementum. So the next question is, what two terms can be used to describe the junction of these two tooth tissues? So what do we call when cementum meets enamel? So it is known as the cemento-enamel junction, or it is also known in teeth, it is also referred to as the cervical line, and it is abbreviated as CEJ. C stands for cemento, E stands for enamel, and J for junction. Now, what are the two other dental tissues besides enamel and cementum? So the two structures are dentine and pulp. So the 4 dental tissues are enamel, cementum, dentine, and pulp. And pulp is the softest and the unmineralized tissue of all of these 4 dental tissues. So the next question, question number 12, is, name the portion of the maxilla or mandible which supports the teeth within the jaw and surrounds the root of the tooth. So the answer is that it is known as the alveolar process. The line shown here, now this is the alveolar process. This is the alveolar process of the maxillary bone, and this is the alveolar process of the mandible bone. While the other part of the alveolar is known as the alveolar bone of the maxilla and the alveolar basal bone of the mandible. So alveolus is also known as the cavity or the socket in the alveolar process of the mandible, in which the root of the tooth are embedded inside. So we have the alveolar process in which the teeth are embedded, and the actual socket of the tooth is also known as the alveolus. Now, name the surface of the central incisor which faces the lip. So it is known as the labial surface. So labial surfaces are those surfaces that face the lip on the anterior teeth, and sometimes in some books they also refer to as the facial surfaces, and both terminologies are used interchangeably. So now name the surface of the molars that face the cheek. So this surface is known as the buccal surface, and they face the cheek on the posterior teeth. They are known as the buccal surface, and sometimes they also refer to as the facial surface. Now the question is, name the surface of any tooth which faces towards the adjoining teeth in the same arch. So if the teeth, if the surface which joins the adjacent teeth, it is known as the proximal surface. So proximal surfaces are the teeth which face the adjoining teeth, and proximal surfaces are known as two. There's the mesial surface as well as the distal surface, and every tooth has proximal surfaces. Now name the surface of the tooth that faces towards the midline while following the curve of the dental arch. Now this surface, which is present on every tooth, is known as the mesial surface, and it is a proximal surface which is towards the midline. So that is the end of the questions. We'll be discussing more in my next video. Thank you for listening.